So when you come up the stairs after our entryway, you walk into our living room. We have a split foyer home that was built in the mid-90s here in Nebraska. It's probably my least favorite type of or style of home, but I have decorated it with all the things that I love, which are a lot of like older antique and hand-me-down and thrift store items. So as we look around my living room, you will see that I have this giant flag hanging up, this American flag over in this corner. This was actually my grandfather's. It's a 48 star flag, and I got it from his home when they sold his house a couple of years ago, and I love it hanging up here in the living room. And then above it, or right in front of it I should say, is this vase that I just cut some branches from my apple tree and stuck them in there to give it a little bit of life over here. And then this roll top desk has some of our homeschool supplies, and it holds our paper and printer on it. We enjoy having a big window here in the living room. There's not a whole lot of windows in our house, so it's nice to have that here. And then next to that, on this other corner, is a mirror that came from my husband's grandfather's house, and I made the wreath that goes on top of it. And then this chalkboard was actually a find at an antique warehouse in Nebraska City, and it was only $5. I just thought it was so fun to have since I used to be a teacher, and I like to just add different verses to it. So right now I just have "Bless the Lord, O my soul," and I use a chalk pen to write that on there. And a few other things over here. The mirror came from my parents' house, and then these shelves I made a few years ago out of some scrap wood that I had, and then I ordered the brackets off of Amazon. So they have always been fun to decorate each year. I just have some frames back there that I got from my grandmother's home. Actually, it was in her attic, and I just loved the look of stacking frames. I've seen that on some different places as inspiration, and so I just stacked a few of those old frames. And then this picture actually came from the town that she lived in, Hornick, Iowa. And so that's special as well. And then stick a couple of flags in there. I do have my 4th of July and, you know, just Memorial Day patriotic decorations up, and I'll probably leave them up maybe through the middle of August. And then I will probably take them down in the middle of August and kind of have a clear slate before fall comes. So that is the living room. And now we're gonna move into the dining room. If you've seen my videos before, then you know that there is a big item in here that is brand new, and that is my hutch. I have shown it in my basement, and it was bare. It was right after we got it, but now you're seeing it all decorated and in place in my dining room. It is going to be used for holding all of my dishes. These are things that came from my grandmother's, and then also my mother gave a lot of these things to me. And then also I'm just gonna decorate these shelves for the holidays, because how fun is that? And then I also have places to put my homeschool things. I homeschool my 2 kids, and so you can see a few homeschool items right there on the bottom shelf, and then inside the cabinet is where we're gonna keep a lot of our curriculum and other supplies. So this dining room is used a lot. It's not just where we eat, it's also where we do homeschool, and it is where I work. So I have my desk over in the corner here. I kind of wish it didn't have to be in here, but I just do the best that I can with it. So that is my dining room. A couple of other changes from last time would be over here in this corner. I did put this shelf back here. I had taken it out for a while, but I decided to put it back. And I have my fern. Actually, I don't think this is a fern. I forget what this is called. maybe it is a fern. It's super easy to grow. But I have that over here, and I'm glad that it's up off of the floor. It had been sitting on the floor. And then just the shelf. I haven't put anything in the bottom yet, but I'm sure it will get filled, especially once homeschooling starts. And to point out a couple of things that are thrifted or secondhand in here, my hutch only cost me $35. I found that on Facebook Marketplace. And then these candle holders over by this picture were a couple of bucks from Goodwill. This, I don't know what you would call it. It's just a blue and white. It was like a drinking fountain type thing. It was my grandmother's. She had it in her kitchen for years. I remember exactly where it was in her kitchen. And I just always remembered that there. And so I was able to get that when she moved. And then my desk was also thrifted. It was $20. And I do have a video where I made it over a couple of times. So that was thrifted as well. These flowers on my hutch are actually from my garden, and they started to dry up, but I thought that they looked so pretty even drying up. So I've just left them, and I'll have to take them out soon, but I just thought that was so fun to have here on this hutch. Next to the dining room is my kitchen, and I just recently gave it a little bit of a makeover in a video, so I will link that below. But I made this shelf and added that, and then I also added the baskets above the kitchen sink and changed out the curtains. But I will link that below if you haven't seen it yet. I love a vintage cottage-y feel, kind of like modern cottage is what I've seen myself drawn to when I've looked at different surveys about different decor styles. Kind of eclectic, but I definitely love antiques and thrifted items, and I love patriotic decor when I can do that. And so anyways, that's what I've tried to do here in my home by what I've added. I recently saw a picture just like this for $80 at an antique store. And this, believe it or not, was my grandmother's. I remember seeing that on her stove every day when we would visit her. The baskets above the sink are all thrifted. And then the curtains were actually my shower curtains, and I cut them up and sewed them. I like having my cookbooks out in the corner. They're easily accessible, and then it just is part of, I think, cottage-y. I've always seen cookbooks out on the shelf at least. Okay, so leaving the kitchen, we're gonna show you my entryway. I have a chalkboard above the door that I just wrote Home Sweet Home on, kept it pretty simple. And then I have a few other decorations in here. I'm sorry about the lighting, but I have this Chinese checkerboard that I got from my grandfather's house, and I've hung that above our rack here. We don't use this coat rack during the summer, obviously, so it's more for decorations. But during the winter, it is usually full of coats, and so it is definitely a functioning coat rack. We always have our American flag over here in the corner. And then, like I said, we live in a split foyer home, so when you walk in, you're met with stairs, which isn't my favorite thing, but it is what it is. So above this wall, I added this number 4 that I found at a boutique, kind of an antique. And I think they had new things too. I'm pretty sure this was brand new, but I got that at that antique boutique, and that was just fun because there's 4 of us in our family. So now I'm going to take you to the last spot, which is our bathroom. We made over our bathroom, so I will leave that video linked below as well. You can check that one out along with the kitchen one. But it went through a huge transformation, and we are still loving it in here. It definitely reflects our style a lot more than it did. And I will say this is our main bathroom, so usually there is deodorant and toothpaste and hairspray out on this countertop, but I fancied it up and cleaned it all up just for you guys. So just know that it's not always looking exactly like this.